Welcome into another episode of Talkin Grizz. This is our off-season series where we're going to talk to media around the league about the drafts and the prospects and everything happening off-season. So joining me from Chicago is Kelcey Johnson, the Bulls insider for NBC Sport Chicago. Kelcey, let's dive right in because there is so much to talk about with this Bulls team. Just last week, the team got a new head coach coming over from OKC. It's Billy Donovan. What has he shown the league, us as media, what he's been able to do with OKC and that young team in the last few years that he's going to be able to bring to this young team with the Bulls?
Yeah, I think you make a good point there because, obviously when he first came to Oklahoma City, he inherited a star-laden team with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. But I think a lot of people would argue that this past season was his finest coaching job. I mean, very few people even predicted Oklahoma City to make the playoffs. And obviously you've got a Hall of Fame leader in Chris Paul, but he certainly maximized that talent and did so in some unconventional ways by playing that three-guard lineup with GSA and Chris Paul and Schroeder. So, I think the fact that he was able to coach different teams while he was in Oklahoma City, and really that in some ways is a mirror or a reflection of what he did at Florida, because at college, obviously your personnel is always flipping over. He's a Hall of Fame college coach. So I know that's one aspect beyond just the fact that he's, a future Hall of Fame coach from the college level that attracted him to Arturas Karnisovas as the new EVP of the Bulls. So Bulls are a young team, but I think most people would agree there's some intriguing pieces and young talent on the roster, and they're looking to Billy to maximize that talent.
All right, well, talking about that young talent and those pieces, the Bulls are going to have the opportunity now to get the fourth pick. And now talking to media around the league, like I've been doing, there's not a consensus in the top 3 or top 4 or even top 1 right now. When you look at who's on the draft board and the fourth pick that the Bulls will have, is there someone that you think is going to be the best fit or someone that you think the Bulls are going to want to go after?
Yeah, I mean, the hard part about that is we're all just getting to know Arturas. I mean, he's, I covered John Paxson for 17 years. I know how John Paxson and Gar Forman think, but this is a new managerial regime for the Bulls. We've talked to Arturas about what he values. He obviously comes from a Denver system that favors ball movement, player movement, two-way players. They've got a lot of athletes and two-way players in that Nuggets roster. The Nuggets did very well in the draft with Arturas and Tim Connelly and that whole staff. So it's hard to really peg him. What I will say is that he is adamant that you do not draft based on need. You draft the best talent available. And I know everybody says that, but he's lived it. I mean, just look at the Jokic-Nurkic draft. I mean, they drafted 2 excellent big men there and then figured it out. Jokic obviously emerged. I mean, it's not like Jokic is a bad player, but Jokic is a better player. And so then they flipped Nurkic to Portland in that deal. So, if there is duplication, but he's the number 1 player on the Bulls board, it sounds like Arturas is going to go ahead and draft him. Now, if you are asking me for need, to me, the biggest need for the Bulls is point guard and wing. And you've got some intriguing options depending on how the first 3 picks shake down if the Bulls stay at 4. It is a deep point guard draft. I do expect LaMelo Ball to be gone, but you've got Hayes and Halliburton there that, may be in play. And then, Denny is a wing that a lot of people are pegging to the Bulls at number 4. So we'll see how it plays out. But it's going to be real interesting to see, how a new managerial regime here in Chicago values players.
That's what I was gonna kind of bring up. You got a new coach, you got a new kind of front office, and then when you talk about a wing forward, it is. If you Google, Chicago number 4 pick, everyone's kind of like, hey, they're gonna pick up Denny Avdia, right, from Israel. So it's interesting to hear you say that, but it is a lot of point guards and then a lot of centers. So you're kind of stuck in the middle of what the Bulls are gonna want.
Yeah, and notice I just said Denny because I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but it is Avdia.
I watched some highlights of him. Denny's the easier one. I'm gonna go with Avdia. That's how I've seen it.
It's why I keep calling him Arturas instead of trying to say his last name all the time.
I thought you were just at the level of you guys are friends now, first name basis. You got it figured out.
Exactly.
All right, Kelcey, thank you so much for your time. We wish you all the best this offseason and the next season. It's going to be really fun to watch, again, almost everything for the Bulls, except for some of your star players, but you'll get some injured players back. So good luck. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you next season, I guess.
Appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
Great. Have a good day.
All right, you too.
And for our Memphis Grizzlies fans, you can get more on grindcitymedia.com.